This is Afternoons with Sonya Feldhoff
on ABC Radio Adelaide, South Australia and Broken Hill.
So you've got your brand new piece of technology and suddenly it ends up in the toilet or the sink, underwater at least, and we know that technology is not that great with water. It can be a pretty devastating experience. This is what happened to the Raglas family. Leo, 13 years old, had a brand new iPhone. It ended up in the ocean at Brighton Beach. But all was not lost. You'd think it was dust, but it wasn't. Karen Raglas is his mum. Hello, Karen.
Hi, how are you going, Sonya?
Yeah, very well. Now, when the drama started, your 13-year-old son had a relatively new iPhone. Is that right?
Yes, about 3 months old.
Okay. What happened to it?
Well, he decided he's just got into fishing recently, so he decided to go down to Brighton Jetty with some mates, and he took his bike and he went and caught some squid. And he decided to take a TikTok video, and he was walking backwards apparently, and he tripped over his bike, and then the phone went into the water.
Oh no, you'd be devastated.
Yes, when he contacted me from his friend's phone, I was at Glenelg with my mum and my daughter, and, we were mortified.
Oh, my goodness, because they're not cheap, let's face it.
No, they're not.
Now, I think most of us would think that an iPhone in the ocean, that was the end of the story, pretty much.
Yeah, well, we Googled, like you Google everything. We were Googling like crazy, and anything that came up from iPhone was saying that it had about a half an hour life once it was in water. That was its waterproof time. So, we
didn't hold out much hope of seeing it again. All right.
Well, I didn't have time to sort of get anyone I know that's a diver to go down there because I thought it would be done and dusted, yeah.
Yeah. So was the tied in? Was it pretty deep there where he lost it?
It was at the end of the jetty and the water was quite deep. So I was very relieved that he said he was going to jump in at first, but I was very relieved when he decided not to.
Yeah, fair enough. He was going to go after it. Now, for most people, that would be the end of the story. You'd think that's the end of the iPhone, but not what happened. You managed to find a diver. How many days later?
Yeah, so basically my son was keen on having it, just as a souvenir. We had no hope of it working anymore, but he wanted it as a souvenir. So I'm a member of the, Brighton Facebook community site. And so I put a message out, look, if anyone's diving around the Brighton Jetty area and they happen to find an iPhone 13 Pro, could you let us know? So that's where I went with it.
And what happened?
And then we didn't hear anything for a while. So the phone was lost on the 1st of October. And then on the 10th of October, I had a phone call from Bing. And Bing used to own one of the restaurants on Jetty Road, Brighton. And we sort of knew him as an acquaintance. And he had actually asked a friend of his who's a diver to, could keep an eye out for it. So this guy, Mark the diver, came down and scoured the ocean floor for a good day or whatever. I think he spent some time looking for it, looking in the sand for it. And he found it. So
he actually found the iPhone?
He actually found the iPhone 10 days later.
And was it buried under sand or was it just sitting on the top?
I don't know. But
well, look, I'm going on about this. That's not the interesting part of the story. Yes, he found the iPhone, but the interesting part, it was still working. Yeah,
it was still working. So it had believe it or not, the cheapest iPhone cover you can possibly buy was an Anko came up one I had on it, because they've got all these different iPhone covers for all the different phones that came out and they're cheap as. So I had this one with a magnet on it that was, $6 or something like that. And he said when he took it off, it was hardly even wet underneath.
That's amazing.
So that's what the diver said. Mm.
So it was working and it still had charge apparently.
It had 25% charge on it and it was completely working, yep.
That's just phenomenal. Is Leo there?
Yeah, he is.
Can I have a quick chat to him? So Leo's the 13-year-old Brighton boy who thought his phone was lost forever. 10 days after it fell into the drink, it's still operating and has 25% charge still on it. Amazing. Were you pretty shocked, Leo?
Yeah, I was pretty shocked to find that it still worked.
But happy? But happy?
Yeah, pretty happy.
Yeah,
definitely.
I bet. Now, my understanding is, so you're using that phone again?
I'll be using it if the new phone I got gets lost or something.
Hang on. What do you mean a new phone?
Well, I'm not silly. I've got teenagers. I've got contents insurance.
So you were able to access a new phone in the 10 days that you thought the other one was lost?
Yeah.
So, Leo, you've got both those phones now?
Yes, I have a 14 Pro and a 13 Pro.
Sounds like you're the winner out of this.
Yep.
Leo, that's an amazing story, but I think you'll be taking a bit more care when you do your TikTok videos, right?
Yeah, I will be from now on.
Yeah. Is it still operating perfectly? Is it fine?
Pretty much perfectly. It's just got this little blue square that keeps flicking around, but other than that, it's pretty much new.
That's just phenomenal. Oh, look, Leo, well done. You're the winner out of this. You've got two phones as a result of thinking you'd lost one. Thanks for telling us your story.
Yep, you're welcome.
Good on you, Leo. That's Leo Raglis and his mum, Karen. Have you ever had a story, something that you thought was really lost, dead and buried, dead and dusted, and then it came good? Love to hear yours. 1300 222 891. It seems almost unbelievable to me. Listening to all of this is Associate Professor Ritesh Chugh. He's a socio-technological expert at CQ University here in Australia. Have you ever heard of anything like this, Associate Professor?
Sonya, I am bamboozled.
You can't work out how this has survived 10 days underwater?
I seriously can't. There's lots of ifs and buts, unfortunately. And in the end, I was concerned about that blue square that was mentioned. And 25% charging was still there when the phone was found after 10 days. I'm not sure how
I know, none of my
happened.
phones last that long. I don't know whether it's the conditions under there, because they often say things like wine is preserved underwater, isn't it? You know, that the temperature's innately protected, and it's like you stop in time. So I wonder if that happened with the iPhone as well.
Sonia, I seriously have no answers, because when these phones are tested, whether that's a Samsung phone or an Apple phone, they do have what's called the IP ratings, and in lab conditions, and I'm not talking, real conditions. In lab conditions, the maximum depth that the phone can withstand is usually about 1.5 meters, and this is in fresh water for about up to 30 minutes.
But salt water, 10 days,
yep,
you're scratching your head, right?
I am seriously scratching my head, because the speed of the water, the movement, the alkalinity, the water pressure, they all vary in real world conditions.
I'm guessing there's sand thrown into the mix too. You'd think that can't be good for it either.
Not at all, not at all, not at all. So I am really seriously bamboozled, and I've used that word twice because I really don't have answers. I'm trying to struggle myself, unless the phone was in a pouch.
Yeah. Well,
Because
they definitely
nowadays-
say it wasn't, but do we have to look at this phone cover? Obviously, this phone cover, as cheap as it was remarkable in its protection of this phone, because you heard the mum say when we took the cover off, it was hardly wet, the phone.
Look, it's just not the phone cover. The phones that are built these days are made to be water resistant. So it's not just the phone cover, because all the ingress points, that is wherever dust or water can enter the phones, these are protected, because they use rubber gaskets, glue, adhesive strips, silicone seals, rubber rings that actually protect the water from going in. In fact, even where we charge, that's also protected. So that is the only thing that I can think of. There's no, I don't think it's the cover that actually protects it. from water going in. It's actually the way the phone made.
Yeah. Now, we're having some problems with your phone line, which doesn't seem to be as robust
sorry.
as... No, that's all right, as the phone cover that had Leo's phone. Frosty on the text line says, look, my theory is that there was an air bubble created between the case and the phone, and that saved it. Now, Professor, does that sound a reasonable theory?
Not really, no, because see, when you think of your phone, I have a phone cover. It's only protecting the back of the phone. That's the only place where the air bubble can be created, towards the back. If you look at all the other exposed areas, whether that's the microphone or the charging port, they're all open.
Yes.
And unfortunately, or put it this way, the only thing that I can think of is it's the physical barrier that the manufacturers provide. So when I say physical barrier, it's because when you look at your phone, your typical phone, it has lots of buttons. It has the speaker, it has the microphone outlet, it has the port, and it's also got the SIM card tray. Now, all of these, or when the manufacturer is manufacturing them, they use glue, they use silicone seals, they use rubber rings to seal all of these areas. And on top of that, nowadays they've also started using a thick, actually an ultra thin, nano coating, which is applied to the phone circuit board, which helps to repel liquid.
Yeah,
so
right.
I don't think it's got anything to do with the case itself. But I'm still coming back to where we started, 10 days, because see, you have to understand that the phone is constantly also working in the background.
Yeah.
And finding it after 10 days with 25% charging is amazing.
It is crazy. It's unexplainable at this point, even from a tech expert. Thank you for your time, Associate Professor Ritesh Chugh, socio-technological expert from CQ University in Australia. Looking at some of your texts on this one, what a lucky boy. A great story, says this texter. One of my kids dropped her phone in the Sydney Harbour right at the Opera House, another one in the Murray River at the Riverland, and a third one in the Noarlunga River. Oh, I'd be getting rid of those kids, quite frankly. Also, one of them threw her phone into a huge bonfire. Oh my goodness, what are your children doing? Managed to get one from the Noarlunga River, but it was not working. This kid is smarter now and got himself a cheap buy with a much safer phone case. I'd be thinking very seriously about getting rid of those kids, quite frankly. That sounds very expensive. A young friend of mine, says this texter, who I helped buy an iPhone, went to the beach with her horse, forgot her phone in her back pocket and took her horse for a swim. The later phone was terminally dead an hour later. Another says, one of my early phones went through the washing machine 3 times, dried out and survived. Slightly greasy with fabric softener each time, but did survive. Wow, amazing, isn't it? It's 11 minutes to 2 here on ABC Radio Adelaide, South Australia and Broken Hill. Next, it's time for the Producer's Challenge. Have you got a question to ask? In line, 1300 222 891, or you can text through on 0467 922 891.